Higgins, how have you been?
Not too bad.
Yep.
Given the circumstances, you know.
No,
I'm doing pretty good.
What do you mean? What's going on?
I don't know. I've been staying at home a lot lately.
Yeah, a little depressed. Stuff going on in your personal life you want to talk about?
Nah, I mean we can just jump right in if you want to.
Yeah, all right.
Give these people a good time.
Yeah, people probably need that right now, don't they?
Yeah, and that's what we're here for. I think.
I mean, we're not good for anything else, so
yeah,
we'll give it an honest go. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to bang on about what's happening right here in this year, 2020. The year of our Lord, but it's not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. So it's nice to have something to do that might brighten things up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And that's free.
Yeah.
Which is real good right about now, especially because no content's being made at all. So, hey, this might be our big break, actually.
This is our big break.
People have no choice but to listen to us.
I mean, they have a choice, but, like, a lot less choices.
And while that might be a bad thing, if they want to listen to this, and they are right now, you know, welcome.
Hey.
So for the next, 50-ish minutes or so, we're just going to talk about anything else, specifically a book, a nice cheerful book about a man who dies a lot.
Yeah.
But it's got a good message, you think, right?
Yeah, no, he dies a lot on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, not on purpose, but, there's a reaon.
Yeah.
And he finds a reason. I don't know. It's real crazy. We'll let you know about it.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to listen to this, we're happy to have you. If not, if you want to do something else to distract you from all the crap that's going on, do that instead. Just something to get your mind off things for a little bit, cheer yourself up. And I know we're not really supposed to be interacting with people. You're at least 10 feet away from me now, just to be safe.
I am.
Mm-hmm. And luckily for us, we don't know more than 10 people because that's the rule right now. So we're fine there. But yeah, find a way to interact with somebody. Been doing a lot of video calls lately myself, and it's been nice to just kind of catch up with people. It sucks they're not actually here in this house, in the studio, but just any kind of interaction is good for them and good for you. So hug your dog or cat, pet your loved ones, and just
kiss your lizard.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, maybe get on with the show.
Yeah. Yeah, so like we said, you can take this podcast on the road with you. Take a little, 24-hour little journey. Some might call it a day trip. I don't know. You can listen to it on the way. Listen to it on the way back. Then I'm sure you could listen to it a few times in between.
We're gonna
the book's called Daytripper.
It's called Daytripper, yeah.
That's the joke.
Pretty good joke, Higgins.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Next time I'm gonna cue up a laugh track. That way, people really get how funny it is.
Man, nothing is funnier than when someone tells you you're supposed to laugh.
I mean, they wouldn't tell you.
They wouldn't tell you if it wasn't funny.
Exactly. But yeah, before we get into all that, first off, welcome back to Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics. Higgins was just gonna go, right off the cuff and forget our intro.
Yeah, I don't remember the intro anyways.
It's fine.
I thought you were just gonna edit it in later.
No, Higgins. God, why would I put that kind of work on me?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but yeah, welcome back to Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics. It's that show where I, Snoop Lynch, and my co-host Higgins Sturm.
Hey, that's me.
That's him right there. Together, we read a book, we drink a drink, and we do it together. I think that's more or less the intro.
Yeah, well, you went off the cuff, but I kind of dug it.
Yeah, we came back around to the core message, and that's good enough for me. Speaking of drinks, I want to get into that because I'm real proud of me specifically this month, because normally you make the drinks.
I know.
And I do everything else. But this time I made the drink.
And now you're still going to do everything else.
I am, so.
That's pretty good. What am I even here for?
Get out. But yeah, tell them about the drink. What we got?
It's called a Daytripper. And
oh, that's good. That's the book we're reading.
Oh, I know. It's pretty convenient. Coincidence.
I did really good this month.
Hey, man. I Googled. But it's got some black tea in it with some sugars. And some lavender. They said lavender crystals, but we put in lavender syrup because
that's all we had.
We had it.
Mm-hmm. And you can't go to the store right now.
And what else are we gonna use lavender syrup for if not for a drink that asks for another form of lavender?
I mean,
probably nothing.
Anyone who's listened to the show long enough knows that we're going to cut corners any chance we get. So, luckily we had that lavender syrup from a few episodes back. I don't remember what drink it was, but that one was pretty good too.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Maybe that's the secret. It's just the lavender.
Lavender. Yeah. It smells good.
Yeah, it's good. This is a really good drink, actually. Ironically, it's the most complicated drink we've ever had to make, and I'm the one who had to make it. But, I mean, it turned out pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty. It has lemon juice too in it. And vodka, right?
It's got so much vodka.
Is that all the alcohol that it had in it, or did it have something else in there?
No, I think it was just the vodka. We're out of Smirnoff, by the way.
All right.
So we'll have to get some more whenever the stores open back up.
All right. I'm really looking forward to getting more Smirnoff.
Good. Me
later
too.
on in the day.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Or the afternoon or the month. I don't know.
Whenever I get a chance to need some, really. But yeah, it's a pretty.
It's refreshing. For the start of summer, it would be lovely to have this by a pool or a beach.
Or a pool at the beach.
A pool at the beach.
Could you imagine? Yeah. Get you a little sip of this, put a little umbrella in it maybe, and you're just off to the races, in for a good time. It's a little complicated to make, or at least for me. I'm sure people who actually know how to make cocktails have no problem with this, but either way, as always, I'll put the recipe in the description notes in case you want to make it yourself.
Yeah. It's basically just, what's that called? It's like an Arnold Palmer, but like alcoholic. I think it's called a John Daly. It's basically that, but we add a lavender in it, so.
It makes all the difference in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a great drink to go with what I think is, and I'm sure this is no surprise to you, a pretty great book.
Oh my goodness. I had already read it, but it was so good. It was so nice that I wanted to read it twice. Did you hear that rhyme just forming in my brain?
I wish I didn't.
The wheels were turning.
I know. I thought you were having a stroke for a second.
Well, I had to think about what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but so this book was written by a couple of guys, and drawn by a fan favorite, right?
So big fan on the show here of Gabriel.
Bah?
Yeah. You're gonna have to scream it every time we mention his name.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Bah!
Yeah, be ready.
Right.
But yeah, because our friend Josh was on one episode where we talked about the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, was that what he did it on?
That was that was kind of his big break.
That's pretty neat because Gerard Way's on this front cover of the first issue saying he really liked the book.
Yeah, it makes sense. And kind of thinking about what the Umbrella Academy looked like, his style's pretty evident in this.
Oh yeah.
And
character-wise, at least.
Yeah. It's kind of minimalist, but it still has it's really unique. But he didn't do it alone. See, actually, this was co-created, co-written, and co-drawn by Fabio Moon and Gabriel.
Ah!
That's right. And Higgins, do you want to know something else? They were co-created together by their parents because they're brothers.
What?
Yeah, I know.
They have different names.
It's just things are different.
Different in Brazil.
Yeah, that's right. They're from Brazil, which has a huge influence on this book and location, culture, words, people's names that I can't pronounce. Like the main character, what is it? Brace de Olivia Domingos.
Oliva.
Bless you. But yeah, so this was kind of their passion project. I don't really know a lot about Fabio Moon. I didn't really look into. I think he's more of a writer per se, but
yeah, I looked up a couple of things he done, and I hadn't really seen much. There was a Firefly book. He had an X-Men one. He had some other ones. There's like an American Vampire and stuff like that. Nothing I'd ever read.
Yeah, I might look into that X-Men book. I've been looking for a good X-Men book, but I just don't know who to latch onto.
Yeah.
There was a really weird X-Men book I read a long time ago that was just kind of like the Z-listers of the X-Men. Like just had gross, stupid powers, but had to fight anyway because all the good ones were gone. Jubilee was a vampire in it. It was pretty good. We might read that one day. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, but we read this month, and we wanted to talk about it. We didn't really have a theme for this, but
other than that, we just wanted to do it.
Yeah, and that's a good enough reason. If any,
sometimes,
right?
I mean, we're not going to be able to get a theme every month, guys. Give us a break.
And we love a good excuse to break out the Smirnoff for a drink.
Oh man, now we can't say it one more time.
No, it's 3 times.
I know we can't say it anymore now, though.
It's fine. So thank you for sponsoring us, Smirnoff.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys came out to this party.
As long as there's less than 10 of you. But yeah, so also shout out to the colorist, Dave Stewart. I think he's done most, if not every book we've read. Guy just knows his way around some crayons and paints and pastels, probably.
Yeah, some pastels. It looks like watercolor, honestly, in a lot of places.
Did he work on Umbrella Academy as well?
I don't know.
It seems like, again, like this, having Umbrella Academy in mind, as soon as I open this, it's just, this could be set in the same universe just based on how it looks. That's either here nor there. It's really good that they're good. His colors complement the art so well. And like you said, it is like watercolors, which really adds to this book because it's a very surreal experience going through it.
Man, it is trippy.
Day trippy.
Haha.
But yeah, it was published back in 2010 from February to November by DC Comics under the Vertigo imprint.
Which is no longer around.
It doesn't exist anymore, yeah, I know.
And I was thinking about it when I saw it, and I was like, man, we need to read a lot more Vertigo books.
Yeah, in memoriam, yeah, for sure. Some of our favorite books that we both read are from Vertigo.
I know.
My personal favorite, Sandman.
Yeah, I read all that.
I'd like to tackle that one day, but we'll have to do that over like 6 episodes.
I know, and no one wants to listen to that much words out of our mouth. Not at one go.
I've muted my headphones just so I can't hear anything.
Nice.
What?
Nice.
Cool. But yeah, so it's pretty solid. Like I said, I'd read this before too, but I honestly completely forgot what it was about. And other people who are listening to this may not know what it's about at all. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read a synopsis for it.
Oh, do it. Read the back of the book.
I don't have Higgins. I can't order mail right now. I had to read it digitally like a chump.
All right, that's fair.
You hear that, Higgins? You hear this? Nothing. There's no pages to flip. I'm so pissed.
And the bad thing about digital is they don't give you the back of the book.
Nah, you're just kind of, you get a cover every now and again, don't you? But that's all right. I still got a synopsis. I have my ways. So I'll read that right now. What are the most important days of your life? Fabio Moon and Gabriel.
Bah?
Answer that question in a critical and commercial hit series that took the industry by storm, winning praise from such comic veterans as Terry Moore, Craig Thompson, and Jeff Smith.
Wow.
I know, right? Jeff Smith. He doesn't just give accolades to anybody. God. Following aspiring writer Brace de Oliva Domingos, as each chapter Daytripper appears in at a completely different moment in his life, Moon and
Gabriel
tell a beautifully lyrical tale chronicling Domingo's entire existence, from his loves to his deaths and all the possibilities in between.
Yeah, man.
So in summary, he's just living his life until he's not.
Until he's not, but he always seems to learn a lesson right before he's not.
Yeah. It's kind of not that helpful, though, if you learn it right before you get hit by a truck.
Some might say it's the most helpful right before you get hit by a truck.
I mean, I know I'm not going to learn anything when I get hit by a truck, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I've really read a book like this.
I've never read a book like this, but when I looked up a lot of stuff about it online, people like equated it to that book that you told me about, that Sean told us about, the Henry August guy.
The 15 Lives of Henry August.
Yeah, they said it was like a lot like that, and it was also like this movie I saw called Mr. Nobody, where he lives a bunch of different timelines of his life, and it all gets wish-washed together, and you're not really sure which one's which.
Yeah, you told me about that last night. Jared Leto's in it or something?
Yeah, Jared Leto. And then some other people. Yeah. I don't know what her name is, but she's in stuff.
You better believe she's in there, Higgins. You saw her.
Yeah. This one's not chronological.
Well, it's not chronological. So basically each issue is him at a different age in his life. He'll die at the age of 31. And then it'll jump backwards to when he's 11, and then he'll die again. And it's like separate timelines, I guess.
But it always seems to connect the story. Like where he ends up at the end of the book always seems to jump into the next portion of his life, it seems like.
I really like that. Yeah, I like how each issue sets up the next issue by the end. And it doesn't set up in a way of like, oh, this is how this is going to play out. It just sets up an idea, And then in the next issue, it takes that idea, but then puts a twist on the rest of the story. So it's like, well, this is how this could have gone, which is, it's good and bad because there are a lot of plot points throughout this 10-issue run that I wanted to see kind of how something where it would go, but I don't get to because the issue ends and then it's a different branching timeline where something completely different happens. It's not like a huge complaint. It's just there are some interesting stories and side characters in this that go through some things that I would like to read about, but I don't.
But it cuts you off, cuts you off just like he's cut off at the end of each little thing.
Mm-hmm. And he's also, I guess, the narrator.
He's the narrator and his own obituary writer, basically. That's his job, guys.
Yeah.
Before he becomes a novelist along the way and stuff like that. Because everybody that writes anything wants to write a book one day.
I wrote my name once on the SAT.
I know, and you're like, man, I got a book up there somewhere.
I'm 15 pages into my screenplay. Don't even... You'll get to see it soon. It's a work in progress. Yeah, he's an aspiring writer, and I looked a little bit into it. This character is based on another fictional character, Fabio Moon and Gabriel.
Bah.
Okay, just make sure you're paying attention.
Man, it's gonna take a lot out of me to remember to do that every single time.
I'll try to ease up on it. But yeah, so the two of them based this character as a homage on another character whose name was Braise Cubas, and he's from a book, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but it's called Memorias Póstumas de Braise Cubas, which roughly translates to the posthumous memoirs of Braise Cubas. And that character
kind of fits the theme of what we're reading already, huh?
Yeah, this book is essentially the same kind of... It takes the same narrative cues where he's writing his own posthumous memoirs.
Yeah.
And like you said, this guy's an obituary writer, and so the narration is just the obituary. And that's what I really liked about this is, and I completely forgot that he even did this in this book. That's not a career I really even think about.
No, I mean, it's not, but he brings it into a light that makes you realize, like, man, I don't think about this that much, but like when this guy's needed, he like makes a lot of people like come to terms with like what happens to their loved ones and stuff like that.
Yeah, the core message of this book is kind of the acceptance of death and not letting it scare you, but also not letting it keep you from living your life. And so for him to have this career where he's basically doing that for total strangers who have lost loved ones. One of my favorite issues for him was when he was still writing obituaries and the plane went down.
Yeah.
And it kind of, like, you get to see it really, it takes its toll on him because he's just having to write all these obituaries. But he's such a good writer and he puts heart into everything he writes down that it's giving these people closure from a complete stranger.
And that's where it kind of brings you into like the stuff that you were talking about with like the side characters and stuff where they have their own stories. One of his best friend in the book, Jorge, I don't think they ever say his last name.
No, it's just Jorge.
His friend was on that plane, and he's putting all of this emotion and hurt that he thinks that he's having from like thinking his best friend just died on this plane, coming back to just work this job that they've been working forever. And he starts writing it, and eventually he gets a call, but to say that, I didn't even make it on the flight, and I've been going through got a lot of crazy shit in my mind because I was supposed to be on that plane and I didn't, and
now I'm here on this payphone.
Now I'm here on this payphone. But yeah, he takes all that energy and feelings that he had and throws it into these obituaries for all these people that he's never met. And it talks about like this plane crash and him doing all these obituaries and it sparking his career in a different crazy tangent chapter in a different issue.
Yeah.
It basically says like him getting that focus sparks his writing career because people start to take him seriously because he does like 93 of them or something like that.
Yeah, and they all just have the same level of care put into him, and he is using his own experience and feelings to do that. this is pretty late in the game when we get this issue. I think it's like 7 or something. And so we had seen various issues where he still was writing obituaries and he was clearly just tired of it. And this is kind of his character throughout the whole story until the very end. He's never really looking in front of him. He's always looking ahead.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, he's not focused on what's happening in the moment. He's always concerned about where he wants to be. And it's when he, in this case, it's when he kind of lets himself be in that moment and write these obituaries and think of his friend, that jumpstarts his writing career.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like that's what he needed to do. And I think when he not only accepts it in that way, but just accepts life in that way, that's the ending of the book. It's when he gets that acceptance that we see him not die for once.
Yeah. Well,
he's going to die, but we don't actually see him die for once.
I mean, there's a lot of times where we don't see him explicitly die.
He pretty much gets killed in every single issue.
Oh no, he definitely does die, but they don't show it on the screen every time.
Well, so what I mean by showing it, I mean like he doesn't die. He's not dead by the end of the issue.
Yeah.
He gets to live to be an old man, and the reason why he's going to die is because it's his choice.
Yeah.
He's lived his life. He's done some things he wanted. He had to go through some things he didn't want to do, but he embraced all of it, and that gave him peace of mind. And so now he's ready to accept death. And I think that's important for the rest of the issues before it because he's never really in that mindset, and that's why life is just suddenly taken from him.
Yeah, it's the first 20 pages, and he does kind of like find stuff out like issue to issue. Like he'll be kind of blundering through life for like 20 pages. He broke his girlfriend of like 7 years, like broke up with him and called him a piece of shit. And he was like, oh man, like I'm pretty sad. And he goes through this whole like issue being mopey, and then he sees this girl in a bakery, and who knows? What do you know?
She's getting muffins, probably.
She's getting muffins, and he's like, I'm gonna marry that girl.
And then get some of those muffins.
And then he gets hit by a truck. But then what do you know? The next issue, he is married to her. And a different timeline where he didn't get hit by a truck, he talked to her, and she was the love of his life because he went for it. What I suppose he went for it before he walked out of the store and like walked down the block for like 5 blocks and then decided to turn around. In the timeline where he did marry her, he walked right up to her right in the store and didn't get hit by a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, where you think like, oh, maybe he just did something like slightly more like confident,
yeah, I think,
or like life advancing.
Well, I think it's there's lessons that he's actually paying attention to, because if I'm correct, in that same issue, he had previously talked to his dad kind of about his breakup and how he kind of thought life was over.
Yeah.
And his dad just tells him there are going to be these moments. They might seem like the most trivial things of all time, but it's going to be the ones that change your life forever.
And stick with you.
Mm-hmm. And so I think when he kind of opened up to that after seeing Anna, I think is his wife's name.
Yeah, Anna.
He realized that and didn't get hit by a truck. Maybe he tied a shoe at the crosswalk and the truck went by. I don't know. But yeah, that seems to be the recurring theme for his character is we see a timeline where there's a lesson presented and he doesn't really kind of pay it any mind because he's got his head somewhere else. He's focused on something else that maybe isn't as important as what's happening right now. And then he gets murdered. But then then we cut to a different timeline maybe where he's older and that same the same circumstances played out, but the end result was he took that wisdom and ran with it. And then other times I don't really know, because I'm trying to. It's very clever how they set up each issue. The big ones that I always that are in my head are like issue 2. He meets the one girl.
Yeah,
and he's
his girlfriend of 7 years or whatever.
Yeah, before in that issue where he meets her, or where we meet her, I guess. Some guy, I guess, drowns him or something. I don't really know.
I'm assuming it was her dad, because he happened to know who she was.
But he
knew all that about her, and he had the basket with the thing. That's just the assumption, but he does have like some sort of demon / deity or soul leaving him the entire time, and that was kind of a weird thing.
Well, the hint seems to be, or like the implication seems to be that that girl, at least in that issue, was that woman of the ocean spirit or whatever who drags men down under to never to be seen again. It's like a folklore.
Okay.
I think they're having sex or something, and then she like whispers to him, "Come find me." But when she says that, the panel changes and she looks like that spirit that we see in the beginning when he's having a dream.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that was that one, and then in the next one, she's just a normal person who doesn't drown people and instead calls them a piece of shit after living with them for 7 years. Also, man, not gonna lie, that version of him, a bit of a bum, because when she left, he didn't have anything.
I know he had like a couple boxes.
He didn't have a mattress, or he didn't have a bed frame. I don't know, but he was down on his luck for sure. But yeah, there's moments like that, and then the other big moment was the plane crash happened in one issue, and Jorge decided that he wasn't just gonna go off grid because he was freaked out. You know, he almost died.
Yeah.
And then in the next issue, it's years later where no one's heard from him, but then he sends Braze a postcard, and so he tracks him down, and he's just gone insane, and he's homeless, and that one's probably it's really dark and harrowing.
Oh yeah, it's
but
real dark.
It might be my favorite.
But it talks about this other part of his personality where he would do anything for his friends, no matter the effect on his life, he'd do anything for his friends, or especially like this one friend, he would do anything to keep him in his life. And I don't know if they were trying to make a point against or for that idea. It seemed a little bit against like living your life that way for a while.
I think it's trying to toe the line. I think that you want to look out and support your loved ones and your friends. I don't mind helping you that much, I guess.
I guess.
But yeah, I think that they wanted to show that, but also bring attention to some people are self-destructive, and if you're not careful, will bring you down with them. And you may have the best intentions, but that doesn't mean that things are going to play out the way you'd want them to. Because you'd think like, oh, he's going to come back with him and get his life straight. But instead,
he's like, I'm going to do a murder-suicide.
Yeah, I guess maybe they made that pact when he was drunk and he didn't remember.
I don't know. I am going to say, I think my favorite one was him as like a little kid. Other than, like, obviously my real favorite one's the last one, because it brings everything together. Mm-hmm. And you figure out that like a lot of these, like, I don't know, visions that you see are like a day trippy. Like a day trippy little mind. I don't know. Just like in his head, because he's got brain tumors and like it's causing him to hallucinate a little bit.
Oh, and is that what that is?
And is like his memories of what happened to him are like fogged over by this basically disease that he's got.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's kind of how we're seeing the entire story in the first place, is through the lens of this old guy that's made it through this entire life, where he could have made all sorts of different decisions and stuff like that. But back to what I was saying.
Yeah,
I like
you want to talk about the one where he's kissing cousins. You like that?
Hey, man. He was kissing his cousin, but like he said, she was probably like a third cousin.
Doesn't matter.
She was probably a third cousin. And he was like a young kid and didn't know any better at the time. But I like that one a lot because
he's kissing cousins.
No, because
it just takes you right back.
It's the start of his journey, and you find out like the story about his the little miracle thing, and where that kind of gives him like the, I don't know, courage to start being a little more outgoing in the first place, which ends up killing him, but because he tried to grab his kite out of faulty electric wires.
I was gonna say, I think that's the problem. I don't think the problem is him being outgoing. I think the problem is he's not very smart and also doesn't know how to fly a kite.
Man, he just was flying it in the middle of the city. That's not his fault. It was a good issue. It showed the importance of his family, too.
He's 11. Surely he must know not to touch power lines.
No, man. They're in, like, Brazil. There's only, like, 5 power lines.
And you think your parents would be like, hey, don't touch either of those.
They were just like, he's never going to see a power line. I don't got to tell him about that.
His dad was too busy
smoking and writing books.
Writing books. Yeah, hanging out at a tree.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. His dad Man, we're all over the place on this episode.
Just like this book is all over the place in its storytelling.
It kind of fits.
Yeah.
But
Higgins, just to know that in another alternate timeline, we're just right on it, right on track.
Chronological order, really boring. The jokes don't fit.
Maybe we are in that timeline.
Yeah, I'm not funny. But
this be so good for the laugh track right now.
Track.
Because then they would know that you are funny. We'll get there.
But yeah, his dad's like him basically, just a little more shitty.
I don't think he's shitty. I just think that
he never seems to be like a bad dad. I know, and he's not as bad of a dad as all of the other bad dads that we've read about in the past like 5 months.
I didn't put that together,
it's
but
a step up.
He's middle of the road dad. Like I think he's a
perfectly middle of the road dad.
He seems like that guy who does have a lot of love, but also doesn't know how to show it in a normal way. Because you hear kind of the way he talks about Bray's mom. He's clearly in love with her, but he's also in love with writing, so that kind of gets in the way. But I think when it comes down to it, he does care about his son, and he does teach him a lot of important lessons when they seldom interact. And you can tell that Braze loves him so much so that when he hears he's dead, it just kills him too.
Oh yeah, and that other issue that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, we're jumping around. It's fine.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get to all of them either.
Yeah, and I think what I like about the dynamic between those two in particular is it's kind of what I expect from a child and parent, to see your child grow up. Like, you have a lot of similarities, but your child does kind of take what you share and build upon that. Reyes he doesn't come across as cold or just kind of...
Not quite as standoffish in the first place. Not as much of a loner. He relies on people more than his dad does.
Yeah, but the thing they have in common is the passion for their writing and what they write for, and that's... I remember in one issue...
And their brand of cigarettes.
Man, they love those cigarettes. They're just smoking left and right. Yeah, no wonder he got cancer. Don't smoke, kids. Or e-vape.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that either. Or whatever the new thing is if you're listening to this in a later time. But yeah, there's an issue where I think his dad's teaching a class or something, and he's giving a lecture, and
Can you e-vape through email? Is that how it works?
I think that's the only way to do it.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, it has to be mobile, you know?
Yeah.
You can't just be doing that on the PC or laptop. Yeah. What flavor are you rocking? Blueberry?
Purple...
Crush.
Yeah.
Fanta.
Yeah. Crush.
You smell that, guys? Oh. Yeah.
Right through my email. What were you saying before I
No, this was just as important to talk about. But yeah, like I said, I don't think his dad is that bad of a person. I just think that he's very introverted and comes across as standoffish. But when you get to kind of see those true feelings and personality, he's actually pretty thoughtful and caring in his own way. And the mom, there's a lot of stuff with the wife that comes in and out that I really would like to see. There was one issue where it ends where Reyes isn't actually in that at all. It's just his voicemails and emails.
Oh yeah, I really liked him in that one though too.
Yeah, no, and he does die. He's on a trip and something happens. I think he has
has something to do with the cancer that killed him when he was 41. He had a tumor that he had to get taken out, and that's when they first introduced the fact that he had cancer in the first place, I think.
Okay, yeah, and so I think you're right. He goes under an operation and he doesn't make it.
Complications. This day and age, people dying of complications.
Everything's so complicated, Higgins. Cancer, your Facebook status, it's all over the shop. And when it does end, when we find out he's not coming back, that's almost like a spinoff I would really like to see.
Oh, yeah.
Just where does how does she carry on from there? She's now a widow with a young child all on her own.
And new dog.
And they kind
of make you feel a little happy because she's like, look.
Dante's here.
No, that was their new dog. Dante was a golden lab, and this one was like a white one with some brown spots all over it. It was their new dog because he was talking to her and he was like, you know what? I think you guys need a new dog because I've been gone a lot and we deserve a new dog.
So here, welcome home, new dog.
New dog. I can't remember what new dog's name is.
That's pretty sure that's it. But yeah, like that was a story I would have kind of really liked to see. And I get why we don't see it, but that has to be my only real complaint about the book. But it's done it is that way for a reason, so it does kind of get a pass on that.
Yeah. And then we talked about the dad. I didn't throw it in there, but he reminds me of... Did you see that movie About Time with Domhnall Gleeson and that one British dude?
Are you talking about Bill Nighy? The dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He reminds me of him in that movie because he's like this real aloof, like tenured like professor who's always just reading books and like off in his own world.
Yeah, I get that. That's a good dad, though. He's a great dad.
Oh, he's a great dad, and that's what the kind of dad that I think this guy is. Where you're like, if you're looking at it from like the outside looking in, you're like, man, what's this dad doing? And then you sit in on their like family life, and you're like, oh man, this dad's like everywhere.
This dad's rad.
He's playing ping pong.
At his age, can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
He still got it.
He does still got it.
Oh.
Is that what that guy's name is? Bill Nighy?
Bill Nighy, yeah.
Okay.
You think it, looking at it, you're like, oh, it's Bill Nye. Like, no, it's Bill Nighy.
Nighy, okay.
Nighy.
I don't have much more to say, I don't think.
No,
other than the fact, right there at the very end, we were talking about the dad, and the one lesson that I got, he like learns the lesson. He gets the letter from his father that was in the book that his father read and just left there for years and years and years.
Well, it was his book too.
Yeah, it was his book.
That was one of the regrets he had when his dad did die in that one. He wanted to make him proud, and he just released his first novel, and his dad never got to read it. But that was a nice little callback to that, to see that he had a letter to his son
in the book that entire time.
Yeah, and I think that's really sweet. And yeah, that's a good issue. It's completely different because that one's I think that one's titled Dream. The rest of them are titled The Age That He Is at the time.
Yeah.
But that is just kind of going over everything that we had read up until that point and bringing it to the forefront for him and the reader.
And we learned that the very special dad lesson. It's like, you have a kid, your life's changed now, but
your life is not your own?
Yeah, your life's not your own, and eventually you just want to get them to the point where they won't need you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point where his dad finally thought he was with Brace at the end of that, when he wrote that letter, because he had just wrote his book. He's married, he has a kid, and he's like, I've done all I can do for this guy. He's 41, and now I don't have to worry about him as much anymore.
I can finally die.
Thank
God. Takes one last cigarette for the road.
And then it's like the same parallel with Brace at the end of that. Like, he hangs out with his son one last time, and he's like, you know what? I have cancer, but I've done everything I need to do.
You got 2 kids. You'll be fine.
I've done everything I need to do. My wife's come to terms with it, and
life insurance money is going to be pretty good.
He's a pretty successful writer.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, there is that parallel there. That kid did not turn out the way I thought he would.
I know he got chubby.
Yeah, he looked happy though. I'm glad for him.
He did. He wouldn't bring his kids cake though.
No, man. Mm-mm. Yeah, like you said, I don't really have much more to add to it. It's a really good book.
Guys, read this book.
I mean, you should have read it before you listened to this.
Guys, read this book. We spoiled a lot, but like in like the least
comprehensive, coherent way possible.
Yeah, so like you could probably still read this and get like almost all of it for yourself.
Yeah, you'd probably open up the book and know exactly how to say that guy's name and just be like, why did those idiots think it's said like that? Because we're idiots.
It's obviously bras.
Bras. Yeah, it's a solid one. The last few books have been pretty good. I'm honestly hoping we get a bad one soon.
Man, we have not gotten a bad one, but like we're in the very peak years of our podcast where we haven't read anything. So like everything we pick are things we want to read in the first place.
Oh, Higgins, I'm so young and nimble.
I know.
Only 1 year old in podcasting.
I know, one year old and some change.
I can do a flip right now.
I won't.
Probably get another drink here, but yeah, it's good. Read it. If you've read it, read it again.
I mean, we did.
Yeah,
this is the second time.
I'll read it again. Don't test me.
Don't put Papa in a box. Do you have a rating for it? We said it's good.
Yeah, Yeah, I guess I have a rating for that. Well, first of all, for what you just said, 10 out of 10.
Papa in a box?
Yeah. Makes no sense, but good job. Yeah, so for all the reasons I've just said, and probably some more I forgot to mention, I'm gonna give this 2 full cartons of those cigarettes that they're always smoking.
Oh man,
and
that's
with
how
one
many they went through, probably too.
Yeah, with one already lit up, like they're loving it right now.
Yeah,
that's almost as great of a reward as the one they got in 2014 for the Life of the Mind book award at the University of Tennessee.
Oh, nice.
Almost as good.
Almost as good.
Yeah. What about you? What are you giving it?
I think he's 72, so I'm gonna say 72 out of 72.
When he dies?
Long happy years.
He's 76.
Oh, 76.
Yeah. So give him another 4.
Give him 4 more.
4 more for the road. Good
yeah,
on.
honestly, out of all the books that we've read so far, this is the only one that I would consider actually giving a 10 out of 10 to.
But why would you do that when we have such a much better rating system?
I know, 76 out of 76 long happy years.
Very good.
With twists and turns and crazy stuff.
That's right. And Higgins, you did such a good job reviewing this book that I'm going to give you one little fun fact that will probably make you chuckle.
Nice.
I just saw on the Wikipedia page here that the editors for this book, one guy's name is Pornsack.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's pretty funny. Man, we're 10 years old. Pornsack.
So much left to learn. Don't touch any power lines in the meantime, Higgins.
Quick, fill up that laugh track every time we say Pornsack.
How many more times are we going to say that?
At least one more time, Pornsack.
Okay, I'll go ahead and program a button for it.
All right.
But yeah, so it's rated. It's done. This drink is done. I'll probably get another one here soon. But before we do that, we'll tell who's ever still here some things that they probably want to know or need to know. Who's to say?
Yeah.
So tell them.
What do you want to start with? Some cleanup or the next book?
We'll start up with some cleanup.
All right, some cleanup.
Mm-hmm. Get that mop. Let's clean up shop.
So, if you want to talk to us about your ideas about what we or you or all of us read, then you can find us at yourcomrades@gmail.com.
That's right.
But if you would specifically like to talk to either one of us, you can only do that with me.
That's also right. Although, that being said, if you want to use the email and just send it to me specifically.
Just write Snoop's name on it.
Yeah, that'll still
I'll
work.
I'll only cry a little bit.
And there's no more tissues to buy right now, so you're really fucked. Another fun fact for you. That delivery truck that hit him, something was on it. It said Foda Integras, which is Portuguese for fuck delivery. Just so many fun facts today.
That's pretty good.
Good stuff. But yeah, so Higgins, sorry to cut you off. I'll jump back in and finish your thought. If you want to talk to Higgins separately by himself, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is at MikeHiggins93, and Instagram is at JStern93.
Yeah.
I'm getting good at that.
Nailed it.
Yep. Also, we haven't been doing this lately, but I'm going to try and stick with it. If you guys wouldn't mind, if you have the time, if you feel like it, maybe give us a little rating. I'm sure it would help us.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to, drop any amount of stars down.
Yeah, we don't care. We'll take one.
Write a review. People... That's the only way we're going to get new listeners. And
well, that's not the only way, Higgins. They could literally just take their phone and start the episode and maybe just hand it to a complete stranger.
Yeah, but
6 feet away, of course.
We're never going to get those big downloads if they don't take their friend's phone and listen to it at the same time on 2 different phones.
That's a good point. Although that being said, they at that point could probably just go straight to the rating on their friend's phone.
Yeah, that's true. Go take your friend's phone and give us as many stars as you can.
Mm-hmm. And then tell them to do the same thing with their friend's phone.
Yeah.
And it'll just come around until it's back to you. And then you'll give us another 5-star rating. But yeah, if you want to do that, we'd appreciate it. If you don't, that's all right too, I guess. But yeah, you can do that.
I won't know.
We really won't. But yeah, you can do that.
Except all those people that we do know, we only have 3. I know you didn't give us a rating.
I know. I watched you not give me a rating. Saw your phone open. Didn't do anything with it. But yeah, you can do that on an iTunes. I think it's the easiest one to rate on. But you can do it, I think, in any local podcast app that you're listening to right now. We'd appreciate it. Oh, also, we're going to keep picking books to read every month like we do. But if you have a book you want us to read and talk about, do that. Tell us on the email, or just message Higgins and tell him to tell me.
Hit our line, beep us, call us
if you want to reach us.
Yeah.
Higgins, new book. What are we doing?
Well, I won't tell you what we were gonna read.
Well, then how am I supposed to read it?
Because we're not gonna read that one anymore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I just started listening to this other podcast, fictional podcast. They're a lot of fun people. This one's by Marvel, and it's called Marvels, and
that's very original of them.
Yeah. Well, Marvels are the superheroes. That's what they call them, I guess, in this specifically.
In this book?
In this book.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we won't tell you anything about the story now, but
because we don't know anything.
Yeah, it looks pretty. The podcast was really good, and it's based off the comic. And that podcast has Anna Sophia Robb in it, and I'll listen to anything with her in it.
And it's good for us because that means it's coming out right now. It's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic.
People aren't going to get enough of it there. They're going to have to come and listen to it somewhere else.
And unless you have Stitcher Premium, you can't even see all them eps yet. You can't even listen to them. You'll be just like me because I ain't forking out $10 to listen to that.
$10?
I don't know what it is. I assume it's 10.
You assume everything's at least $10?
It might be 20. 10.
No.
You get a free month, but
that's not enough though. They're not going to release all those eps in a month.
It's only $5 a month, but still $5 a month. What am I made of money?
What do you? I mean, you know what you could do with that $5? Keep it in your pocket and just listen to this for free.
Yeah, do it.
And do that next month when we talk about that book. That's got a podcast out right now. But don't listen to that. Listen to us and then go listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then tell them.
Both.
Yeah, I guess you could do it at the same time, couldn't you? Oh, you could do it with your friend's phone that you grabbed earlier.
Oh, yeah, and then you can listen to us and that podcast at the same time.
I'm glad we figured this out.
I'm glad you have your friend's phone. We'll see you guys next week?
Month. We do this monthly.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We've done 15 of these. You should know that, but it's fine. Yeah, so everyone, stay healthy, stay safe, stay happy, more importantly. Find a friend's phone, do anything you want. And join us next month. Until then, I'll say cheers because that's what I say, and Higgins will say what he always says, which is,
after just the right amount of time, have a nice trip.
Preferably during the day.
Yeah, during the day.
All right, good.
See you. I love you.
Was that for me or for them?
That was kind of for them.
Oh, okay.